I listen for your footsteps coming up the drive. I listen for your footsteps, but they don't arrive. Waiting for your knock, dear, on my old front door. I don't hear it. Does it mean you don't love me anymore?
Hi, I've been making dill pickles for about, I don't know, 10 or 15 years, and I decided to make a movie about it. I'm just going to tell you everything you might not know. You might know all this stuff or some of this stuff, but I'm just going to go through from start to finish on how I make my dill pickles. First, I grow them. We're at the end of the season. I thought I was finished. Usually, right now it's, I think, August 3rd. And the cucumbers just die in August. And these over here have aphids pretty bad this year, but they're still producing like crazy. So I harvested these. If they turn yellow or get big, I don't use them. I grow enough. I have 2 trellises here, and I grow enough that I don't have to use these. So I set them out, and people always say, what is that thing? But I have these. And I'm going to make 1 batch of pickles. Hopefully I can make 1 more for this video. Just to show you my mist mace, that's what they look like. They eventually turn that really bright orange, which I love, but people wonder what in the heck that thing is. Some people will make relish out of them. I don't. I just enjoy them. I brought the cucumbers in, and I have this amount, and if I canned every time I had that amount, I'd be canning every other day in July. So I make a vat of cold water. This is ice water, or just cold water for now. And then I put about a tablespoon of pickling salt in it. I don't put regular salt. Someone said that it makes your brine cloudy, and I don't know for sure. Actually, I did use regular salt one time on something, and I thought it did look a little cloudy. So I used pickling salt, and then I cut both ends off, the blossom end and the stem end. And that's because Brian's relative, Grandma Octi, had said that the pickles get mushy when you leave the blossom end on it. So I've also always done that. I'm not sure if it makes a difference, but my pickles are pretty crunchy. So there you go. I just cut all these off and toss it in the fridge until I get, you know, a whole bunch, because I like to make, you know, maybe 20 jars at a time. Basically, this will get so full that it will begin to drip in the fridge, and I know that's pickle time.
I hear the clock ticking on the mantel shelf. I see the hands are moving, but I'm by myself. I wonder where you are tonight, and when I'm by myself I don't see you. Does it mean you don't love me anymore?
Hello, welcome back. It's been 2 or 3 days. I'm going to show you my kitchen, because I think making pickles or any jarred goods, it's the prep work that makes it a success. So those of you who know my kitchen know I usually have a ton of stuff all over the place. But I even took the coffee maker out. Like, all the bread and everything's over there on the table, and I just have it cleared and ready. And then let's zoom in on a few things. For pickles and jams, I just have these 2 pots. I cook generally in this one, and then I can in this one. I also have a pressure canner, but as you know, for pickles and jams, anything with lots of sugar or vinegar, you don't need that. I even prepared things so you wouldn't have to wait. A lot of people will put equal parts vinegar and water. I think that's too strong, in my opinion, so over the years I have lessened it. You'll see here I have 6 cups of white vinegar, 8 cups of water. You can use apple cider vinegar, and I think I might even like the color of it a little bit better. It makes it look darker, but I'm not sure how much of a difference it makes. And a 1/4 cup of pickling salt, which I showed you yesterday. It needs to be pickling salt. The first time I ever made pickles, it was way too salty. But then for a while I used a half cup, I think just one season because it's too much. A quarter cup. So in case you missed that, 6 cups of vinegar, 8 cups of water, quarter cup of pickling salt. Then you have your canning water. You want to have some sort of a little rack on the bottom, because if your jars are right on the bottom of your pot, they will break. And then I always add just a little bit of white vinegar to the water. With our super limey water in the Ozarks, it does make a difference on the outside of your jars. It keeps them real clear, real pretty. You want to be able to see into them. Over here I have my jars. Used to, I would get water boiling for my jars. Now I just make sure they're clean. I generally will put them through the dishwasher, and I have very hot water in here. I have my lids and my rings. Now, over the years, if you read canning books, they'll say, pack it really quickly so that your jars stay really hot. And that's great, but with pickles, I like my pickles to look really pretty, and it takes a long time to pack them just perfectly so that they look pretty. So my jars do cool down a bit. I have had 3 broken jars in 73 jars, which is a lot. Normally I don't, and I wonder if it's because I'm going so slow this year. So I've been trying to put some hot water in here after they're packed. But anyway, moving on. I now have all the spices set up, and I will show you those. For my spices over the years, I have realized what I like is garlic, of course, and I slice it. You can mince it as well. That's great too. Jalapenos, I put 1 slice per pint and 2 slices per quart. If Brian's in here, he likes to put way too many and then no one can eat them. 1 slice per pint is just, it gives it a little heat, but not enough that you even have to have a drink. Just enough to kind of feel it. I like both brown and yellow mustard seed because it's pretty. Lots of you know I call them summertime snow globes, and I just like to shake them, which I'll show you in a minute. And then peppercorns, you can do just black peppercorn, but I like all the colors, so I've got the mixed color, and then I have the pink. I think everybody is pickling this year because I struggled to find yellow mustard seed, but a neighbor gave me some, so thank you, neighbors. And then dill. I am down to the last of my dill. It has been a really good cucumber year. I should have made even more dill, but I thought 5 quarts was plenty. This is it. And then I have my cucumbers here. So what I want to do today is show you how I make a few different kinds that I make. So I'm going to get these cucumbers all out because I like to sort them. I don't have any of the itty bitties like the gherkins right now. But what I do is I go get those out of the garden right when I make them because I think they turn mushy. And being that it's the end of the season, they like to get real big. And that's great because I don't have my Muncher Crunchers prepared. If you've ever gotten pickles from me, it was probably either Muncher Crunchers or Muncher Cruncher Spears. Let's start with Muncher Cruncher Spears, which I like to make in wide mouth pints. Everybody loves wide mouth pints. I especially love them. I used to not be very, I don't know, aesthetic with the way I packed my pickles, but then that one year when I entered the fair, every pickle jar seemed ugly to me. The one thing I don't like about pickles is if they rise up. If you don't have them packed tight enough, they'll rise up and then your liquid's under here and the pickles float. That doesn't look good to me. So I pack mine pretty tight. Let's get started here. I put, about a handful of dried dill. You can get that at the grocery store. We tried fresh dill a couple of years and it gets very expensive and you can't keep up with it. We used to do dill seed because that was the family recipe Aunt Octi. But I just don't like the flavor of the dill seed. I like the dill weed. Oh, it's great. Then I put a 1/4 teaspoon of brown mustard seed, 1/4 of yellow mustard seed, 1/4 of the mixed peppercorns, 1/4 of the red peppercorns. I put a couple of slices of the garlic and 1 jalapeno. Now, I measure, I think usually I do 4 inches, but we'll see. Some of these bowl jars are a little bit shorter, and this one is. It's 3.5. So I actually measure, let me see if I can find a knife since I removed everything from the kitchen. I actually measure them. Now, as you know, I took the ends off. I take just barely the end off again. I don't know why. If I have this many cucumbers, I can waste a little bit. And then I measure them all to 3.5 or 4. Most of these wide mouths are 4. There's one. I have my scrap bucket, which I haven't started going yet. And notice I like to alternate them too. So I'll put the fat end in and then the skinny end. Oh, this one's really pretty. We'll see how these fit. You can fit way more than you think. So I cut it vertically in half, and I'm pretty strict about that too. And then I'll cut it again. And I really like 8s. So notice this is the fat end of that one, and then if the other half of that cucumber, I alternate it. Now I have the fatties from this side in the bottom, and I have the skinnies from the other side. Now I'll do the next one. I like the sound of things. I like for them to be triangles. I'm hoping all of you watching have had my pickles and you're wanting to make some. Now here's where it gets fun. That one's a little short. I don't like that one. You might be noticing I'm not using a cutting board. It just gets so much space that I need that I don't use a cutting board, but I have been using disinfecting wipes to wipe it down. We all have those lately available. So a lot of people would call that full. I do not. You would be amazed how many more cucumbers you can get in there. You probably also notice I call them all pickles. Even in the garden, they're future pickles. Come on, baby. I don't like them to be too squished though. If I think they're going to be too squished and give the little innards up, I'm not going to, oh, there's a space. Okay, so there is a spear. Put that to the side. And now I will make a couple of muncher crunchers. This is Muncher Cruncher knife. I ordered it a few years ago from Germany. It was only $9, I think, but it took forever, and I had to pick it up at the post office. They said something about fraud. I do not know, but the same. So I put a little wad of dill. I had been putting too much dill, maybe, but it just feels so good. A 1/4 teaspoon of brown mustard, 1/4 of yellow, 1/4 of peppercorn, 1/4 of pink peppercorn, jalapeno, a couple of garlic slices, extra garlic slice, because why not? I mean, can you really put too much garlic? I don't think so. Now, the Muncher Crunchers, I cut the end off. See, now some people would use that, but I want both sides to be ridgy. I try to make them equal. I will cut this on the board. Feels better to me. I have just cut the whole bowl, a big bowl of Muncher Crunchers, and then just stuff them. They don't like to go in the jar. Really, hardly any pickles like to go in the jar really smoothly. I think the spears are the easiest. And I enjoy the little ones too. And then that one gets thrown away. So I just try to, I have tried to put them all in like that all at once, but then you have to get some in there beside it because I don't want too much space. And you know, the brine, you have to run back to the store for more brine. So the more pickle packing I do, the less brine I have to worry about. Oh yeah, this is the fun part, I think. Okay, now you see that one. I will go out to the garden and see if I can get some little pickles to stuff.
Don't pass me by, don't make me cry, don't make me blue. 'Cause you know, darling, I love only you. You never know, it hurt me so. I hate to see you go, don't pass me by. Don't make me cry.
I went out to the garden and this is what I found. I was hoping to find a whole bunch of these, but you know, pickle don't care. Instead I found a lot of these. At the beginning of the season for me is when I can find a lot of these. So let's see here. Maybe I can make a little jar, but it doesn't look like, oh, maybe that one. I just kind of want to show you what it's like to really stuff them full. If you look at my pictures, I had pandemic party pickles. It had a couple of these, a couple of the Muncher Crunchers, a couple of spears in each jar, just for variety. I don't think that's going to be enough, but let's see what we can do. We'll do that in here. I have some of Brian's Grandma Auguste's old mayonnaise jars that I love to make the big jars of pickles in because they are just so pretty with no label. You can see everything so well in the jar. It really is like a summertime snow globe. So oh, and then on my quarts, I definitely put 2 slices of jalapeno. This is 1.5 pints, so I'll put a little nub. There we go. I start with the biggest one. Oh, I forgot to cut these. Welcome to Pickle World. I don't know for sure if it makes a difference. In case I didn't say it earlier, Great Aunt Octi said to cut the blossom end off, but I used to just cut them both off, and that's what I still do. So, got that one. I'm going to put that one in. It is honestly trying to get cucumbers into a pickle. I think about that, like I like to say I'm in a pickle, and I think surely it means to be in a really tight spot. I want my pickles packed in there. You know what I mean? I want them when I give them to you. I want you to have to work to get them out of here. Yeah. Look at that one. Well, now optimally, we would fill this whole jar with those, but not today. So there that little one went. Make it a party jar. Think these spears will fit in there? Oh yeah, let's put a few spears. Pandemic party pickles. My new, what is that called? Motto. Because why not eat the whole jar by yourself? Okay, we've got, oh, don't like those. Let's put some munchers in there. You get the point, though. And it's fun. I like to, if I had saved one of those little bitties, you put it at the top, and then people don't know it's coming when they open the jar. It's like, oh, a little gherkin. Okay, I'm going to make some more Muncher Crunchers, and then we'll get these in the can. So I have my brine. It's boiling. I've just turned it down a bit. And you're supposed to fill them to a 1/4 inch of headspace. So I fill them, and then I fill them some more. Fill them, bang them, fill them. Because with all that air in there, in between the pickles, if you don't make sure you get all your air out, then you'll end up with your pickle jar only filled, you know, like 3/4 of the way full, and that looks bad. It actually is okay. If that happens to you, or your pickles float, it's fine. Those of you who know me just know I take things to a whole nother level sometimes. I make it a little bit more complicated than it probably has to be. But headspace is pretty important. With canning, there are some things that are important, like cooking it for the right amount of time, pressure canning versus hot water bath. You know, green beans will kill you. Okay, so I have each one and I bang them. Sometimes I will even use a knife and kind of stab it down in the edge. Woo! Just to make sure I get all that air out. I like to look over the edge. So like that one, see how you can see the pickle over the edge? Unfortunately, that one has to be sacrificed. Oh, those had a lot of bubbles. So see, that one's gonna need some more. Brian's melting. If you wonder where the family is, Tugger's out running the neighborhood. Buzz is playing video games. Brian's mowing. They're pretty hot now. And then the canner, I call the canner the boiling water. I know some people have the canner with the pulley out thing. But I have, if I leave it up to a high boil and I put these in, it will definitely crack a jar. So it's supposed to be a quarter. Oh. I exert pressure on my life, I guess. Okay, so this is important. You have to wipe your lid tops off, or wait, what would you call this? I should know. Your lips. You have to wipe those off, because if you have a little chunk on here, then it won't seal properly. That's really important with jams and jellies because it's so sticky. Oh, and you notice that I didn't use this for pouring the liquid, but this is really important for jams and jellies, otherwise you'll just make a huge mess. You can't have a blemish on the top lip of your jar. If you have a little crack, a little chunk out, it won't seal properly. I have jars that I love, absolutely love, that I can't use because they have a little chip out. For canning, I can use them for my dill and stuff like that. Okay, so my lids and rings used to, when Brian helps, he used to tighten them too tight. Is that gonna work? It's supposed to be, they call it hand tight. It is lady hand tight. So see that? Better to be too loose than to be too tight. Because what's going to happen when you put it in the canner, it's going to get to a boil and it's going to push air out. Push air out of the crack. And then when you take it out and everything cools and shrinks, it sucks this back down. You can reuse your rings, but you cannot reuse the flat part. You may know that, but I notice lots of people seem to ask that. So you have to buy new of these every time. And I'll show you at the end how I put my labels on, and that helps me know that that flat has been used already. I've moved over here to load. So I use this. This is a pretty handy tool. And I put them in one at a time. I think they're prettiest before they're cooked. I just love that bright green of each one. Like I told you, I've had 3 of them bust when I put them in the canner. Oh, did you hear that? What is happening? I'm taking too long. Dang it. I've never had so many broken jars. Maybe it's 2020. Pressure drop or something. So that one cracked. That means all the contents, usually the bottom of the jar, will now fall off. I think it was that pint and a half. Okay, here we go. I turn it up to high. Well, I like to get it on high and then go back down to medium. So I boil mine for 15 minutes. I used to do 10, but then it's 10 minutes for altitude 1,000, and then I think 5 minutes for every 1,000, and we're 1,800. So I do 15 minutes in the canner. The timer went off, and I made 3 more jars. I ran out of dill. Those are my last 3 jars. Of the year. That broken jar is floating. You can see that's hot. It's irresponsible of me to be carrying it over here, but she's so pretty. She's still boiling. One year my arm was hurting really bad. And I thought, oh no, what's happening to me? I'm falling apart. And I realized it's my arm lifting in and out of the canner. And it got better when canning season was over. Whew. So the other one, I will show you. Let's zoom in. Okay, the bottom fell off because I think it's a dramatic temperature change. It's because I packed them so slowly. But I will fish it out of there. With my handy dandy scooper. Because I need to still, oh, and that's the one I put all the pretty ones in. But see, can you see that? The whole bottom is off. So I will have to put that in a paper bag. The last jar of pickles for the whole year heading into the canner. This is the jar I was telling you about from Grandma Gusty. It's an old mayonnaise jar and you can see everything so well. Anyway, into the canner. I'll be sad if that one breaks. And one more thing I want to talk about is I've gotten better over the years at when my last batch is in the canner. Let me set the timer for 15 minutes. I clean up everything. I don't clean these two big pots because they're too hot, but I try to clean everything else up. And then that way, after they're out of the canner, I can just focus on playing with them and looking at them, which you're really not supposed to touch them, but it's very hard. We have the last batch coming out of the canner. They have been boiling. We'll give that a moment. And as you can see, I have the kitchen back together. I think that's important. I don't want it to linger all night. I like to use these labels right here. For wide mouth, you need the 2.5-inch circles. And for the regular jars, you need the, I don't have my label anymore. I think they're 1.5-inch circles. They're this size. And you can write on them, then you know when you've used your lid, and you know, it's just kind of nice. And these are not popped. If you push them and they don't click, they are ready to go. So end of canning season 2020. I think I have 81 jars of dill pickles and 31 jars of dill pickle relish. So thank you for watching. I hope you make some pickles. It's a snow globe. Summertime snow globe.
I'm sorry that I doubted you. I was so unfair. You were in a car crash and you lost your head. You said that you would be a plane about an hour or two, and I said that's alright. I'm waiting here, just waiting to hear from you. Don't pass me by, don't make me cry, don't make me blue. 'Cause you know, darling, I love only you. You never know, it hurt me so, how I hate to see you go. Don't pass me by.